Not many young people would know the radio show or his iconic voice, but some years ago, 21 million Americans would tune in on their radio to the most listened voice in America. They would listen in suspense to the storyteller recount a true story, true to life with a surprise ending. It was called The Rest of the Story, a real-life mystery told by Paul Harvey. He would always end with a shocking revelation about something and say these words, "Now you know," big pause, "the rest of the story." We just hit our Paul Harvey moment in the 260 journey. It's really just a simple parenthesis within a verse of John 7. And that parenthesis tells us the rest of the story. Question: what do you think of when I mentioned the name Nicodemus? See, his claim to fame was a one-on-one night conversation with Jesus. And in the midst of that interaction in John 3, Jesus said the most amazing sentence ever spoken in human history. You know it, John 3:16, spoken to Nicodemus. "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." Thank you, Nicodemus, for having the guts to talk to Jesus. That verse you got has probably led more people to Jesus over the centuries than any other Bible verse. People can easily be caricatured for one thing and known by only one event in their life. Nicodemus seems to get stuck in John chapter 3, but his story in their mind goes no further. But what's amazing is that Jesus' born-again talk never seems to come to a conclusion. And we never know if it took with Nicodemus. Did the religious leader gain a second birth and become a follower of Jesus? In our reading today in John 7, if you blink, you'll miss it. The rest of Nicodemus' story is there. It sheds light on the most famous New Testament chapter, but it gives a conclusion. Here's the amazing parenthesis of John 7 and the anticipated conclusion of the iconic John 3 meeting. It's verse 50. Nicodemus, get ready now, parenthesis, he who came to him before being one of them said. Did you see it? He who came to him. That's John 3, the born again talk in the night with Jesus. Then it says, before being one of them. Oh my goodness, he's one of them. One of who? The disciples, a follower of Jesus. Nicodemus heard the words of Jesus that night and took them to heart. Nicodemus was born again. Did it happen that night? Did it happen in John 3? We really don't know. We don't know, and we don't have those facts, but it happened. We know that talk changed that man. I sometimes miss the parenthesis in people's lives. I've talked to people on planes and in coffee shops, even in parks, about Jesus and never saw anything happen. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a parenthesis in their life. Just because it doesn't happen in your chapter doesn't mean that it hasn't happened at all. Who knew? And who knows if your talk with somebody about Jesus touched someone? We find out about Nicodemus's 4 chapters later. You may not find out for 4 years later, but always remember, God's word never returns void. All I know is that Jesus shared with Nicodemus about the new birth, and it changed his life. And John 7:50 says in a little parentheses the results of this conversation. He who came to him before being one of them gives us all the results of that special night in John 3. Nicodemus became a follower. Do I say it? Should I say it? Forgive me, Mr. Harvey, for not saying it as good. Now you know the rest of that John 3 story. Good day